Welcome to my talk towards AI-based precision medicine. And now we take kind of the perspective how AI in genomics can really ultimately bring benefit to clinical decision-making and patients. So my background is computer science, statistics, and machine learning. And now currently I'm a postdoc at the University of Zurich, and I'm at the Hospital of Zurich, and I'm doing research at the intersection between machine learning, statistics, and clinical research. And I would briefly like to start with a bit futuristic and humoristic introduction about our aims. And we try to basically change a bit how medical decision-making will be made in the future. So we want to personalize these processes and move a bit into this direction. So we collect multi-omics data, and directly based on this complex biomedical data, we want to make decisions. And we want to predict basically everything what we can in the future. For sure, we are not there, that we can directly make decisions based on your genome, on your multi-omics, and this talk is basically what we can do now in this direction. So the goal is to zoom out a bit. So before we heard many interesting talks about biology. And here we take the focus, okay, we have this multi-omics data. What can we do with AI, machine learning, to really predict the future of patients? And I talk about the shift from average to personalized medicine, then how we can learn from observational data and conditioned on multi-omics data, and how we can really implement these things to bring benefit to patients. Okay, so current medical decision making is basically based on medical guidelines, which are obtained from average-based clinical studies. So you have, for independent from the patient, you have basically two average treatment effects for a binary treatment. So you learn basically the expectation here over your outcome given a particular treatment. What we want to do is basically we want to condition this treatment effect on your multi-omics profile. So we want to learn this personalized counterfactual treatment effect given, conditioned on your patient characteristic and a potential treatment. We want to learn kind of this personalized treatment effect. And you already see here that for many patients, in particular beyond average patient, this personalized decision making will be much better. The second aim, we want to learn from observational data. And when we learn from retrospective observational data, we have many biases and confounding factors. So here we need also to answer more counterfactual questions, not only machine learning predictions. A counterfactual question is kind of a what-if questions. So for example, here we have here this patient characteristic, and we want to answer these hypothetical questions, because in reality, in the data, we only have one outcome. We only see one factual outcome in the data. For example, for this patient, we have observed this treatment and this outcome. But we never observe all counterfactual questions together, and this is from a method point of view harder than just learning association, like in statistics and machine learning. The other challenge is kind of, we want to move here this conditional factor from 0, basically a very big number, as in single cells, right? And we are basically here. So we try to shift a bit from this to this area. So we trained model taking into account several multi-omics platforms. And the third one is kind of, as already mentioned, we need kind of these counterfactual models. Moreover, that such models are really used in clinics, we have to also focus on uncertainty and on explainability. And moreover, in clinics or the patient, in the end, we just we not only want to know how the tumor size decreased or decreased, but we would also like to know all potential side effects. Moreover, we also would like to know, can we even predict patient satisfaction? Or can we predict also economic costs so that we can really make a comprehensive outcome profile? I'm currently involved in several projects: organ transplantation, precision oncology, precision rheumatology, and the ingredients that we have: complex biomedical data, we have treatment, and treatment outcomes is basically always the same. I will talk briefly about organ transplant and then coming to precision oncology. So in organ transplant, we are working with Swiss Transplant together, and we basically want to predict the long-term outcome on a genetic level between recipient on the waiting list and possible organs. So we want to find these counterfactual outcome profiles between these two things. We have also approaches to also model for the post-treatment plans where we try to come up with personalized treatment plans. But I want to mainly focus on this precision oncology, and this data is a bit an overlap of the data from Charlotte Bunn is working on. It's also based on this tumor profiler partially, and we have this complex multi-omics personalization. So we have from 10 up to 15 different multi-omics platforms collected for patient, and we want to predict, again, the outcome from different possible treatments, what happens in 1 year, for example. This again. So we basically want to have multi-omics, whatever we have, treatment options, and we want to predict the future. And I can show here, for example, one quite promising result. So here we trained on an ovarian cancer cohort. We had kind of the progression-free survival after 2 months, and we have a binary outcome, and we had these 15 multi-omics platforms, like here. And also involving just the clinical variables on which traditional current medical decision-making is based. And the promising thing is, for example, if you just see, so here, the red one, this is basically just random performance. 1 would be perfect. And we see kind of using this, some of these multi-omics platforms really improves quite a bit. So from the promise is a bit that we can come from here, which is slightly better than random, to move to this performance. And here we also train the model to include, to aggregate all these platforms together. So for example, then here we could even improve from here to here, or here to here. Currently, we are implementing an AI tumor board in analogy to the molecular tumor board, and we really want to make here a kind of output to the clinician, and we plan to soon to start a silent prospective study within the Swiss Personalized Oncology National Data Stream, where we try to evaluate now these predictions in a prospective way and want to compare if we can confirm these results. So personalized and data-driven medical decision-making, I think it's very promising, also moving away from this average-based clinical trials to personalized medicine. But even if we have perfect models for that, I think we have also kind of questions to answer, for example, here. If we accurately can predict kind of, okay, so this patient will respond with this probability to this medication, but has, for example, much higher costs or much higher side effects, who exactly will decide about all these things when we really know all these things? Or for example, when a patient knows, okay, you have the choice between a medication which is more established, but has slightly worse probability that you respond, or you have a newer medication, which is slightly more promising, but we have, the variance is much higher. Which one would you choose? So here we have kind of also questions to answer in other disciplines than just machine learning or biology. To wrap up, I think we are a bit in a transforming phase for the next 10 to 20 years, where we really want to shift a bit from this average evidence medical decision-making to more personalized data-driven. In particular, for example, in cancer, for sure, we won't do it for first-line therapy because there everything is guided. But for example, in last-line therapies, where the head of oncology told me, okay, you can basically throw dices. You have no clue what to do. And why we shouldn't try to use here AI based on multi-omics profile. One thing is a bit, I think we also have to move away a bit from this just fitting machine learning models. I think this causal perspective is really interesting, also connecting it, for example, causal structural learning in biology to really learn more about the underlying disease. And last, I think also a lot of work has been done just to implement all these models, because I think in the end, we have to show these models also first in prospective clinical studies and eventually also in proper clinical studies. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions? Yes, please.
Hi, thank you very much for the great talk and the comprehensive view on this. I have one question about the clinical application of this, because what we see in the real world is that many patients are not even able to get panel sequencing for precision medicine. And so I was wondering whether the idea would also be to be able to reduce these 15 modalities that you have to a smaller number so that you can really make these scalable in the clinic. Thank you.
Yes, good question. So this is actually one of big problem that for many of these patients we have measured different technologies, right? And our model can actually handle this to some degree quite well. So it allows different number of technologies. And actually, for example, this prospective silent study will be based only on maximum 3 technologies.
Cool, thank you so much.
Any more questions?
I'm not sure if I can say it, because it's also highly political, I guess also, for example, this ranking of technologies. So also maybe for this plot also I have to say, so these are preliminary results, it's also more proof of concept, and yes.
I have one. We have seen this paper lately again saying that all this model is crap. It will not be used in clinics. I think I forgot the title, but I have seen it. So what do you think? Like, it seems there's a huge skeptical that your models is never, at least at the moment, will not be applied in clinics. I don't think just because of accuracy, or what do you think? Or any reason that you have insights there?
I think there are many, many reasons, right? I think to some degree, the models are not completely ready, but then on the other hand, the data is not really ready. I mean, here, for example, it was trained on 50 up to 100 patients, and you cannot just really say, okay, this really works. And then from the clinical side, I think there is also a bit of hesitation to trust this model. And this approach was an approach in this direction. We try to include uncertainty. We try to include personalized explainability, that for each treatment suggestion, we list kind of personalized features which are important in this direction. And I think this is not the end of the story, but this was one step in this direction.
You have shown a figure that you can actually approximate, or you will, the cost. So how for example, the insurance company will handle, like if you tell that, like if you go to this treatment, you will be this much cost. So will it be at the end that we will be in a situation that the insurance company will decline that because if you go on this line, it will be expensive, or you don't think it will be an issue?
I think this will be a big issue. I mean, this is a bit this discussion, right? I mean, who decides in the end about this treatment option? Is it the patient? Is it the clinician? Is it the insurance company? Or who is doing that? And I think this is other people are responsible in the end.